War leaves behind scars, but also stories, many locked away in forgotten machines. Among them lies the Japanese Type 97 tankette, a tiny yet determined fighter of World War II. Today, historians and restorers search desperately for its secrets, hoping to bring one rare survivor back to life. Before we continue, I need your help. If you or someone you know have photos, manuals, or any technical details about the Japanese Type 97 tankette, please share them. Together we can preserve history, and if you care about stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and spread the word. When we think about World War II, our minds often travel to the massive tanks thundering across Europe, or the mighty aircraft soaring over the Pacific. Yet behind the headlines of Tigers, Shermans, and Spitfires, smaller machines played their own vital roles. One such vehicle was the Japanese Type 97 tankette. For many, this little machine is barely more than a footnote in history books. It wasn't glamorous, nor was it the most powerful. But for those who served with it, or faced it on battlefields from China to the Pacific Islands, the TK was unforgettable. Today, only a handful of these tankettes survive, scattered across museums and private collections. Unfortunately, very little technical documentation remains, making restoration efforts a real challenge, and this is where your help comes in. By revisiting the story of the TK and understanding its design, we can better appreciate why every surviving piece matters. The Type 97 tankette emerged in the late 1930s as Japan sought a small, nimble armored vehicle. At the time, Japan's military was expanding rapidly, and their forces needed vehicles that could maneuver through narrow roads, jungles, and rugged Asian terrain. The TK was not meant to go head-to-head with large tanks. Instead, it was designed for reconnaissance, infantry support, and rapid movement. Its name, tankette, derived from a contraction of the Japanese words for special light vehicle. In many ways, it mirrored the philosophy behind other countries' tankettes, like the British Cardin Lloyd or the Italian CV-33. Let's take a closer look at what we know about its structure. The TK had just 2 crew members, one driver and one commander, who also acted as gunner. This limited crew reflected Japan's emphasis on small, efficient vehicles, but it also made the workload heavy. It weighed around 4.7 tons, light enough to be transported and maneuvered with relative ease. Measuring roughly 3.68 meters long, 1.8 meters wide, and 1.9 meters tall, it was compact and low profile, making it harder to spot on the battlefield. Its armor ranged from 4 millimeters to 16 millimeters, thick enough to stop small arms fire but not anti-tank weapons. Power came from a 4-cylinder air-cooled diesel engine, producing about 65 horsepower, which allowed the tankette to reach speeds of roughly 40 kilometers per hour on roads. In terms of firepower, it typically carried one 37mm gun, though some variants used a 7.7mm machine gun instead. This combination gave the tankette certain advantages. It was light, mobile, and simple, but it also meant significant limitations. In open battle against medium or heavy tanks, it was hopelessly outgunned. Despite its shortcomings, the tankette saw wide use during the Second Sino-Japanese War from 1937 onward. It supported infantry in both cities and rural terrain. Its small size allowed it to move where larger vehicles could not. As Japan advanced into the Philippines, Malaya, and Pacific Islands, the TK was a common sight. In jungle warfare, its light frame helped it traverse muddy tracks. Its speed and size also made it suitable for reconnaissance, allowing it to quickly advance, gather information, and retreat. However, when Allied forces fielded heavier armor such as the M3 Stuart or the M4 Sherman, the tankette could not compete. Many were destroyed, abandoned, or buried by the tides of war. Out of the hundreds produced, very few remain intact today. A handful can be found in museums such as the Kubinka Tank Museum in Russia, the Bovington Tank Museum in the United Kingdom, and in some private collections in Japan and the United States. Yet even these examples are incomplete. Missing parts, battle damage, or years of neglect mean that fully operational restorations are extremely rare. That is why every photograph, manual, or technical document is so precious today. Restoring a tankette is like piecing together a puzzle with missing pieces. The lack of manuals is perhaps the greatest obstacle. Unlike German or American vehicles, which often had detailed documentation, Japanese tank manuals were scarce and most did not survive the war. Without blueprints, mechanics must guess or reverse engineer. The air-cooled diesel engine was unique. and finding original parts is nearly impossible. Substitutions must be made carefully to preserve authenticity. Replacing missing armor is also difficult. Not only must restorers match thickness, but they must also replicate the steel's composition and riveting techniques of the 1930s. Restoring the 37mm gun requires careful legal navigation, since many countries restrict functional weapons in private hands. And with only 2 crew members, the interior was cramped, making it vital to understand where each control, periscope, and instrument was positioned. Every restoration effort is, in truth, a blend of detective work, engineering, and artistry. One may ask, why go through all this trouble for such a small, underpowered tankette? The answer lies in the broader story. Each restored tankette tells the story of soldiers, both Japanese who served inside, and Allied troops who faced them. Museums can use these vehicles to teach younger generations about the realities of war. Beyond the big tanks, every design, no matter how flawed, represents an engineering philosophy. Studying them enriches our understanding of technology's evolution. For veterans' families, seeing a restored vehicle connects them to a past otherwise lost. In this sense, the tankette is more than steel. It is a vessel of memory. To advance restoration projects, certain technical details are desperately needed. Original engine specifications such as wiring, cooling system, and fuel injection details, transmission diagrams, suspension and track measurements, electrical wiring layouts, factory photographs showing assembly lines, maintenance manuals issued to crews. Without these, restoration becomes guesswork. And that is why appeals go out to the public. Perhaps tucked away in an attic or an old trunk lies the missing piece. Imagine for a moment a grandchild discovering a faded photograph of their grandfather beside a tankette in 1939, or a retired veteran remembering how these small tanks appeared during his island campaign. These personal fragments are not just artifacts, they are keys. Every bit of information helps breathe life back into the machines, and through them, keeps alive the human stories that history textbooks often overlook. Thankfully, we live in an age where connections span the globe. Enthusiasts in Japan, the United States, Europe, and beyond collaborate through forums, museums, and online archives. Each discovery, a bolt type, a diagram, or a fragment of a manual, spreads quickly to aid restorers worldwide. But collaboration only succeeds if people step forward. And sometimes, the most valuable contributions come from unexpected places, like a farmer who dug up a track link, or a family who finds a wartime diary mentioning maintenance instructions. In reflecting on the tankette, we learn a larger truth. History is not only made by the giants, the Shermans, the Tigers, the Spitfires, but also by the small, humble machines that served quietly in the background. Preserving them reminds us that every role in history matters. Every machine, every soldier, every memory contributes to the grand tapestry. If you are watching this, perhaps you feel that pull too, that sense of responsibility to keep history alive. Maybe you have nothing more than curiosity and that's enough. Or maybe you have access to something rare, something vital. Even a single page from an old manual could change the course of a restoration. A photograph could reveal how wires were routed, or how tracks were aligned. Small details make big differences. So if you, or someone you know, have technical information, photos or documents related to the Japanese Type 97 tankette, please share them with restoration communities or museums. Together we can ensure that this small but significant machine is not lost to time. And if you don't have such materials, you can still play a part by learning, sharing, and keeping alive the memory of these lesser-known stories of World War II.